I used to watch this race on TV to be there and then be on the line with people that I've grown up watching and have wanted to be like. Kind of just felt like a really big I made it kind of moment.
The pass was made by Margot Loggia, returning the favor.
It's Will Loggia, second straight year. What a battle.
And the young man running for the hometown Terriers will win.
Let's go, Will, finish.
Now Will Loggia taking it out.
Will Loggia, Goober. Will Loggia, we got
Will Loggia, huge kick.
Welcome to The Kick, a runner's podcast. I'm your host, Will Loggia. I love running and I love a good kick. Today's guest is none other than Sophie Novak, an incredibly accomplished graduate student athlete at Notre Dame. She's one of the most experienced runners in the NCAA, having competed at the national championships in cross country, indoor track, and outdoor track. Sophie competed at the U.S. Olympic trials, won the Drake Relay Steeplechase in a meet record, and she's poised for a really exciting track season that's right around the corner. We're going to talk about her incredible career thus far and her goals for the promising future that lies ahead. Sophie, thank you for joining us here on The Kick.
Yeah, thank you. I'm excited to be here.
It's going to be fun. And what an exciting time of year it is. You just finished up the cross country season with Notre Dame. You were 7th overall individually at regionals, and that helped your team win. And then went on to nationals, set a 6K PR, and took 7th as a team. So how is the season kind of now reflecting on cross country, and are you taking a break now?
Yeah, so I'm not taking a break yet. I have a few more days. We're going to Boston for the indoor meet there, which is very exciting. I've never been there for the December meet, so I'm very excited to see all that energy. But yeah, cross country, it feels crazy to be done because that's it. That was my last cross country race ever. So there was just a lot of emotions kind of going on. But I think overall, we feel pretty good, pretty content, I think, with how the season went. I think, you always want to finish, I feel like, higher in a way, but I think everyone gave really good effort. And I think each race we ran, we competed very well. And I think our whole focus this season was to run as a team. And I think we really, really saw that, especially in those last championship races. And it was really cool to be around, especially as someone who's older now on the team, to kind of see the future of the program. I mean, it's going to be really exciting because really it's just me and my teammate Shona who are graduating that was in that top 7. So it's a very young team. And I think I'm very, very excited to see how they do in the future. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. I feel like track is more my thing. So it was just kind of, it was just fun to kind of take advantage of this last year and kind of build and gain fitness to really, see what we can do in the outdoor season. But I feel like I left everything out there and I'm pretty happy with it.
Yeah. And I know Notre Dame was definitely lucky to have a leader like you as a 5th year with that experience, being able to kind of guide the team. So it's really exciting that you were able to do that for these younger girls on the team. And as a BU graduate, I'm definitely a big supporter of the BU season opener. It's great to hear that you're going to be carrying that cross country fitness in and competing in, did you say the 5K, I think, is what I'd be guessing?
Yeah, the 5K.
Okay, so 5K at BU season opener. That's in less than a week, so really excited to see what you can do there. But then also looking ahead to the outdoor season, we know you are a steeplechase person, and I actually met you when I was doing interviews at the 2024 Outdoor Championships, and you ran 9:40 in the steeplechase there, and you were behind, I know your teammate Olivia Markovic was 2nd, and I'm pretty sure you guys were the only team to have 2 women in the final. And I just remember the vibes for Notre Dame being so high. And I just want to ask about that experience, that race. It really felt like a breakthrough from my perspective. What was it like for you?
Yeah, it was great. I would say a breakthrough is definitely a good word for it. I think, especially to have a teammate like Olivia to train with for the past few years, it really helped, I think, kind of see the potential of what I could do, especially seeing her kind of do it first. So it was just super fun. And I think my whole goal, especially that year, was just see if I how long I can just stay with Olivia, and see how far we can go together. And I think with steeple, it's such you just PR. So the jumps are pretty dramatic, I feel like. So, when I started, I was, I think, just underneath 11 minutes. But then that next race I ran my freshman year was like a 30-second PR. So it's pretty cool to just kind of know, like, okay, if you just can run and really just like hurdle those jumps and those barriers, like you can really run a fast time. And I think that whole season was really just a good confidence builder to know that I can compete and I can be up there. And above all, it's just super fun to do steeple. And, the whole, you always want to be able to get to the outdoor nationals, especially into the final. So being able to do that with Olivia was super special. And I think, like, regardless of like how the race went, like I knew I was going to be happy. And I really think it like set me up for, now and all that stuff. So
Yeah, so 2024 outdoor, you have that great performance in steeple. And then 2025 outdoor this past season, you were still running the steeple, still doing great, but you were unattached. You won the Drake relays in 9:28, so you took another big chunk off your time, like you said, all those big drops in the steeple. And you had that kind of like another breakthrough, but it wasn't necessarily, representing Notre Dame. Take me through that experience at Drake relays and like how fired up you are to kind of come back to the collegiate landscape in that event.
yeah, it was just a super fun season of just, let's just go have fun and see what we can do. Yeah, I wanted to go unattached to save that season for this year. And especially just because I only had like cross country at the time. So it just kind of made more sense to like really round out that this year. But yeah, Drake, I feel like was just one of those races where it's a good field. There was a lot of really other accomplished racers. So it was just, we're just going to go see what we can do. I think I opened at Raleigh, or no, not Raleigh, at Wake Forest, and for the steeple, and ran really fast there. I mean, at pretty much the exact same time, but I was shocked. Like, I did not expect that to happen. So I think coming off of that race to going to Drake, I just wanted to compete and not really worry about time at all and just see, because especially I feel like in my case, like my first steeple back is a little rough every year. It's just like you have to relearn how to hurdle, especially that water jump, like knowing how much energy to give is like, it takes a second to get back into it. So I was really, after having that race at Wake, I was like, okay, I know exactly what I need to change and fix. So it was just really fun. I wanted to put myself in it. I like to run in the front. And I think it was just more of just like a test and just to see like what can happen. And it kind of just felt like a freebie in a way. So I was very happy to kind of be in the right position with like, I'd say 600 to go, and then really just push the last 200 meters to get over that last water jump. And then, yeah, I honestly was shocked that final hurdle to be in the lead, but obviously super exciting. And I think that really kept like push the momentum. And it makes me really excited to come back for this outdoor and see what I can do in the steeplechase. So, yeah.
Yeah, what a feeling that is. I remember I came across like the clip was all over my Instagram feed that day. It was like you crossed on the line. And at the time, I didn't know that you were running unattached or anything. So like I didn't see the Notre Dame singlet. So I was like kind of swiping through and I was like, wait a second, like that's Sophie Novak. Like that's awesome. And that was a really, really hype clip where you could just tell how pumped you were. And
Yeah,
it was
thank
really
you.
cool to see.
Yeah.
But you mentioned the amount of time that you go without running the steeple. Like you kind of only have that outdoor season and then cross country, indoor, all that. What does the indoor season look like as far as steeple preparation? Because I know you're probably doing some practice with barriers and stuff like that. You're not racing, but take me into kind of the life of a steeplechase runner and what that training looks like.
Yeah. Honestly, we really don't do a whole lot of practice, which is kind of funny. I think my coach's whole philosophy is you focus on the season that you're in, and then when it's like time to kind of switch over, that's when we start kind of moving more into like mobility stuff with the hurdles, which kind of I wish we'd do more, I mean, of course, like I'll probably start doing like just some like hamstring stretches and stuff during the indoor and everything like that, but we really don't start doing like hurdle practice, I would say, until maybe end of March, which is kind of funny. But when it is time, it's, we kind of just usually just once a week of doing a lot of like the mobility over the hurdles, a bunch of different drills. And then we kind of do a few strides over them. And It's pretty laid back. I think, yeah, I think we put a lot more emphasis on workouts, especially like I would say I don't even really do a whole lot of steeple like hurdle workouts so much because I think a lot about the steeple I think that we kind of focus on is like the speed and just like just having aerobic fitness. So I honestly do a lot of my workouts with the team and then maybe like on like our Friday workout, I'll do like 5 800s over like with like 400 meters over hurdles, which I feel like we kind of transitioned into that even after doing like the first one. So it is kind of, I feel like different for probably what other, I think steeplers do. But I don't know. I think especially for me, like my legs are long, so I don't really need to, I feel like work as hard to get over the barrier. Um, so I think like focusing more on the speed and, like just having like a good aerobic baseline, I think are where we put more of our focus. Um, but yeah, so that's kind of like how we do it, honestly. But yeah, either way, like I look forward to, you know, that kind of practice on our Monday, practice day. So
Right. No, I think that's super interesting to hear because from my experience, I never did steeple, but with the few guys on the team who were doing it, there wasn't like they were pretty much always working out with us, and then they might do some like extra steeple drills. I
Mhm.
think it's almost good. Like steeplechase, you got to be a really good aerobically fit distance runner, and then you're going to have the technique like just based on the practices you do. And being able to keep the team together, I think, is definitely important. How big is the squad, just out of curiosity, of steeplechase runners right now on the women's side at Notre Dame?
It's just me right
Wow.
now, which is crazy. Even last year, I was the only one doing steeple. I think we have some interest in, I think, one or two of our freshmen, and I think one of our sophomores, we might transition from the 5K down to steeple, but we'll see. I keep trying to get people to come join me and do it. So it'll be interesting. I'm sure we'll have maybe one or two other girls, but yeah, right now, at least on the women's side, it's pretty small. Our guys have a few that do it, which is fun. So like I at least like there's some people that I can relate to, but yeah, it's pretty small.
That's interesting. I definitely feel like, from my perspective, steeplechase is bigger than it's ever been. And I
Mhm.
think, obviously, Doris Lemon, Alabama, breaking records left and right, having these top distance runners like yourself all specializing in the event, I think it's it's very helpful for fans of the sport to now be drawn to it more because when you see these like bigger names involved in it, you can't help but pay attention.
Yeah.
And you and Olivia before you at Notre Dame, you were a big part, I feel like, of that movement. And I was just curious, like, you basically are leading the charge in that when you were in these races with Doris and everything. What does it feel like being a part of that event and how it's growing in the NCAA right now?
Yeah, it's super cool, and I think it's really exciting. It's like I came to watch outdoor nationals, and it was crazy. I think to make it into the final for women's steeple, you had to have run like under 9:40, I think. Crazy. And I think the final itself was so fast. So it's I think you can look at it and like as it like being very intimidating almost because it's like, oh man, like how now it's just the spread is so much thinner, but at the same time, it's just like it's super cool to see, I think, and it makes me very excited because it's especially just even like women's sports in general, women's like distance running and running, like it's cool to see how fast it's getting and how competitive it's getting, and it is kind of crazy to be able to like have seen that evolution from like my freshman sophomore year. But yeah, I just know it's gonna keep getting faster, which I think yeah, I'm excited because it's like okay, well then if everyone's getting faster, then it's like how much faster can I also get, So it is pretty exciting, and yeah, I'm excited to see how it goes.
Yeah, you are at the heart of it, so we're all really excited to see the next steps you take. But looking back, something we have to talk about, you also ran at the 2024 Olympic trials. That is so incredible. What an accomplishment. So congrats about that. And I was doing some reading and I saw that you called it the coolest thing you've been a part of in the sport at that point.
Mhm.
What was that experience like? And yeah, just take us through that because it's such
Yeah.
a rare thing to be involved in.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think I feel like it was just very cool to be a part of, and especially kind of coming off of, finished set being All-American and steeple before that. It was kind of just a last hurrah of let's see what we can do. Um, I one of the goals throughout that whole season was like, because the qualifying time was 9:40 to like make sure you're in. So that was just kind of like a time that I always felt like I was chasing on my during my season. So to finally get it in the final of nationals was pretty exciting. And then just the experience in general was so different than, I mean, I don't know, I guess I expected it to be pretty grandiose, but running there in Eugene for nationals, like I thought the crowd was already very electric and large, but then being there and running that prelim or even just watching other races, it was even like 10 times louder and so many more people, which was just crazy to even just know like, oh, I used to like watch this race on TV and like see those clips, and then now also like to be there and then be on the line with people that I've grown up watching and like have wanted to be like. So it was very surreal, and just like it was very exciting and kind of just felt like a really big like I made it kind of moment. And at that point I didn't really have any goals of like it was just like a very like bonus race, and I think after running it and kind of understanding what it's like to run not even just like at like that big of a level but with other professional athletes, it really kind of put a lot more into perspective for me and like what that kind of racing looks like. Which then I think it really set me up for those following years. But yeah, it was just super neat. And I love looking back at that race. And I do think I wanted to run a little bit better, but at the same time, I was like just super pumped to be there. So yeah, it was a really awesome experience.
Do you feel like it kind of opened up new doors for you and almost opened up your mind to possibilities, setting new goals in the future post-collegiately?
Yes, I think it did, and especially seeing my teammate Olivia kind of go through that process a little bit, with her being at On now, it kind of was like, okay, like maybe this is possible. And I think with that kind of thinking, you have to be a little bit careful because it's very like outcome based. So I was like, I don't want to be like, oh, I need to run like this in order to try to, keep running after I graduate. But um it definitely made me think like, oh, maybe this is a pot, like I can do this. Um so yeah, I do think now, especially with, choosing to do that this fifth year, like that's kind of the route I want to go in. And it's exciting, it's nerve-wracking, it's very up in the air, but either way, I'm excited, and it really did, I think, push me down the path that I'm on now.
Yeah, and it is always really cool to see so many NCAA athletes while they're still in college getting opportunities like that. And it's happening more and more. You've competed in fields even outside of the Olympic trials that include the best in the world. Like we mentioned earlier with Doris,
Mhm.
these athletes who you're competing with in the NCAA are also world class. How do you approach racing someone like the NCAA record holder in a race like that? You're not that far off in your own right. I'm just curious, like when you take the line, like what goes through your mind?
Yeah. It I think for me, I kinda just like to think like, okay, everyone like, you don't know how anyone's feeling, I think I found the less I kind of think about who I'm up against, the better. Like, I don't really like to look at, like, the heat sheets before going into a race because what good is that really gonna do me? And I think I think at the end of the day, it's like you're putting yourself in this position to run with other fast people, so it's like knowing that, okay, if I'm can be in this situation with them, like, then I also have the possibility to run fast. Like, I deserve to be here. I think that's another big one, and one that I've kinda had to learn as I've gotten older is, like, you kind of feel like that whole, like, imposter syndrome sometimes, where you're like, "Oh my gosh, like, how did they just let me in?" Um, but I think at the same time, it's like, this is my life, and this is where I'm at now, so, despite it kind of maybe being scary sometimes, like, I'm here and I'm going to do it scared. And I think having raced a few times now, like with other high achieving athletes, like I feel like I've been able just to, it almost feels like a normal race now. But yeah, I would definitely say it's sometimes it can be scary, but it's like, and I like to position myself where it's like, I know I can do this. I know the training I've done. So why not just go see what I can do and see like if like how these athletes kind of either pull me along to that time or, just see if how long I can hold on for.
Yeah, it's such an interesting balance between, we always say with running, like you got to compare yourself against yourself. That's really all that matters. But then you're also a competitor, so you're trying to, compete with the people you're in the race against. But I think you put it very well with that perspective of, you know, you belong here. You've done all the things that make you belong there, and you just kind of have to take it from there and do the best you
Mhm.
can. I think you definitely have gotten to a point where your mindset is really solid there.
Mhm.
And I read something about, I think it was your sophomore year. You were saying that that was maybe one of the tougher years mentally for you. And you said that you forgot your love for the sport. So I'm just curious how you were able to work through that. We all know running, like you're going to have rough patches. Like if we're going to be involved in it for this many years at a competitive level, that's going to happen. But how proud were you to be able to work through that? And what were kind of some of the things that helped you do that?
Yeah. It it's one of the it's tough sometimes, like I think it is hard to get into those ruts, especially when you just kind of lose the love a little bit. And I think that that happened, I feel like after my sophomore year, because especially just coming off of those, competing at the trials, it's very like, okay, like, or sorry, no, sophomore year I guess was before the trials, but it's like, you I think when you don't see, like, the results that you want, you almost kinda feel like, why is this even like, what am I even doing? Like, why am I putting all this work in if I'm not seeing the results? Um, and really, I think, like, I feel like I just kinda come back to, like, what's the purpose? Like, why do I show up every day and run? And I think one of those fundamental things to me is competing. I love racing. I love, like, racing against other people, and especially just, like, when I'm happy and I'm having fun, that's when I run well. And I think, like, it's very easy to kinda lose, like, even just the outside of racing where it's like, okay, like, I'm going to sleep at 10 PM. You know, I am eating everything that I need to be healthy. I need to, maybe limit, like, how often I, see my friends super late kind of things. And, like, that's just not fun. Like, I think you kinda lose yourself in trying to go all in on something like that, and I think for me, maintaining the balance of, outside of the sport and inside of the sport has really kept me motivated because you're so much more, than your, times on a website or, who you're beating, and I think it was during my sophomore year, I very much had a lot of these big goals for myself that I didn't hit, and I think it was like, "Well, I did all this work for nothing." And it's like, "No, that's not true." Like, I'm showing up every day, and I get to be here. I get to run with my teammates. I get to do the thing that I love to do. So, I think kind of remembering that has really kept me, like, kind of kept me going, and, it happens every year, where you kind of have some of those moments, but remembering why you do it, and sometimes even if you think like, "Oh, like, I'm not having fun right now," like, you can always lean on your teammates, and I think that more often than not has really gotten me through, especially when it's, 30 degrees out, you haven't seen the sun in, like, weeks, and you're just like, "I don't feel like doing this workout or waking up at 9 in the morning to go do long run," like, knowing that your teammates are there with you, like, is also just super valuable, and that's part of the reason why I wanted to come back to Notre Dame is just because this team is just so awesome. So, yeah, that's pretty much what I would say that kinda, like, gets me through those times.
Well, you've definitely figured it out, and Notre Dame is very lucky to have you setting that example as a fifth year. I think it's really hard to find that balance of being all in on the sport and still having fun with it. I think a lot of young athletes, they try to get so into it that they lose sight of all the other things in life, and then it usually isn't going to be very sustainable. And something that stands out to me, having talked to a lot of the best like yourself, um, they people always find the most success when they're also enjoying it. Like you said, with if you're loving it and you're happy, you also seem to be doing really well. So finding a balance, easier said than done. How has it been for you as a grad student? You said most of the team is younger, setting that example for the team and what you're going to leave Notre Dame with beyond your time there.
Yeah. It's exciting because I feel like we have such strong girls on the team, and I think it's very exciting to see what the future is going to be like. And like I said, like, you don't want to lose that love for it. And I think there's you're going to learn a lot about yourself, I feel like, in college, especially when you're trying to, have the assignments due and, like, show up to practice on time. But I feel like for me, like, if I can come into the locker room and still, like, kind of be both a, someone who, like, keeps the energy light, but also, like, be serious when it's time to work out. Like, I think being true to my routine and being consistent, I think, is the biggest thing that I hope to leave. Because at the end of the day, like, if you're doing what you need to be doing and you're being consistent, you're going to see that success. And, I think even with this last year, I want to have fun. I want, like, it feels it's a bonus, essentially. Like, that's kind of what I've been telling myself this whole time. It like, it feels like I graduated and I'm just kind of here. I get to show up and, run at practice and everything. But so I think at the end of the day, for me, it's like, I want to, make sure it's fun and really take advantage of getting to be in the locker room with everyone for a little bit longer, and making sure that, yeah, we're keeping it light, but also when it's time to lock in, like, we're going to do that. So.
Yeah. Yeah. And I can relate 100% on the feeling of being a fifth year. You have that graduation and then it feels like you celebrated the end, but then you still get this bonus. It's a great feeling. I loved it. And I think you do kind of return with this sense of, all right, I know kind of what matters now. I know that the end is near, the leaving the school is near, and you just have an appreciation for the things that matter most. I think that, for the younger girls on the team, in your case, like, seeing somebody with that perspective is really valuable. And one thing that I always thought was cool was when we were freshmen, we had, maybe fifth, even sixth years on the team. And now that you're in that position, you have freshmen on the team, your influence basically spans a decade on such a great
Right.
program. How cool is that to have had teammates at such a great school that span that amount of years?
It's awesome. And it's so fun too, because I'm still really close with a lot of them. Like, when they come back for, like, a home football game, like, it's really great to be able to meet up with some of them and have that relationship still. And because it's crazy, because it's like they're gone, and, like, some of them have been gone for, like, 4 years, but I still almost feel like I just saw them yesterday, like, at practice. So I feel like Notre Dame does a really good job of, like, community, like, just, like, this community that we've built, especially on the team. And it's awesome because it's cool to see that growth, especially, like, knowing, like, where we were at freshman year as a team, and we were still strong then, but now it's just like when I reminisce with, like, some of my older teammates and I tell them, like, oh yeah, these are the workouts we're doing now, they're like, that is nuts. Like, how are you able to, like, I can't even imagine, like, I'd be happy if I could run, like, I did a tempo, like, 3-mile tempo at, like, 6 to, like, 6:10 pace, and now we're running 3 miles at, like, 5:30. It's been insane to kind of see this growth. But it is really exciting, and I love it. So yeah.
That's really cool. That's great to hear. And I think that's a great note to end on. One last question I want to establish before we get into our final segment here. You have the outdoor season coming up with Steeplechase. Last go at it wearing the Notre Dame singlet. What are the main goals for you in the steeple individually?
Yeah. It's interesting because I feel like I haven't, like, given myself to, like, think about it too much. I think I really just, want to run fast. I think that's, like, my main goal. And I think this outdoor nationals, like, is going to be competitive, and I want to put myself in it. I know for our school, the school record's 9:17, so that's definitely on the horizon and something that I really want to try to go after. So I would say at the very, very, basic level, that's kind of something I want to try to hit. And, I think for our ACC meet, like, it's going to be tough because we got Angelina Napoleon in there, which, it's going to be really exciting. And I know it'll be a great race, but, I've won conference 2 years ago. So it'd be nice to go after that title again and kind of just see what happens. But yeah, I think either way, I just want to be happy with everything that I give for, that last outdoor season in the Notre Dame singlet, and just know that like I've given everything I had to the program. So yeah, it's exciting. I think it'll be cool to see what happens, but either way, ready for steeplechase. It's going to be fun.
It's going to be so much fun to watch. And now I'm taking note of that 9:17 because I didn't know that was a school record. So
Yeah.
definitely will be rooting for you in that.
Thank you.
So here on The Kick, we like to finish things just like we finish races. We finish things strong with 10 rapid fire questions. So it's going to be, I'll start the timer right after I ask the first question. And then you just got to go as fast as you can.
Okay, I'm ready.
Ready to go? All right, we're going to see how fast is Sophie Novak's kick. Okay. I'm doing the timer on my phone, so I've been doing it on a watch for the first episodes, but phone is better, I think.
Perfect.
All right. Is the steeplechase the hardest event in track?
Yes.
Okay. Run by pace or feel?
Feel.
Most inspirational runner?
Eliud Kipchoge.
Race you're most proud of?
Probably my Drake Relays win.
Race you dream of running someday?
The Olympics.
Cross country or track?
Track.
Go-to pre-race song?
Probably Power by Kanye.
If you weren't a runner, what sport would you do?
Soccer.
Best place to run in South Bend?
Probably our Riverside 10-mile loop.
37 seconds, Sophie. That's
Let's
a new
go.
record. You came out swinging. I wasn't even ready. I was still like switching between my stopwatch and like my little 10 list of questions. And you answered the first question so quickly. And so I delayed you a little bit, but that was incredible. Sophie Novak, 37-second kick.
Let's go.
New record here. That's going to be tough to top.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm glad I could do it.
Yeah, that was awesome. And some good answers too. So Sophie, thanks for coming on. Best of luck at BU. Hopefully I'll see you there. I'm going to be in Boston for that meet. Definitely excited to see what you can do unattached this indoor season. And then of course, representing Notre Dame in the outdoor season. I'm really happy to be able to share some of your story with the listeners here. And hopefully everybody is now a Sophie Novak and Notre Dame fan. We will all be cheering you on. Thanks for coming on, Sophie.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much, Will.